how did you go from, I guess from that being the responsible person or the parental figure to moving to architect? Like, how did you get? Were you a drawer? How did you transition?
Got you. So no, I wasn't. At the time, bro, to be quite honest with you, I was hustling, bro. I was working at Aaron Reynolds delivering furniture at the time, and you know, I mean, my grandfather was a big gambler, and I learned how to shoot dice real early. So I used to always shoot dice with my paychecks, you know, and I used to flip my paychecks, and that's how I substituted like my little $500, $600 2-week check to take care of my brothers. Cause I turned that into a couple of bands, right? And sometimes I lost my check. You know, I got cracked, right? And so what happened was, man, I was getting to the point where I was jacking, I was hitting licks, and I was pimping too. So yeah, I was pimping, you know what I'm saying? And that's a part of my history, my backstory too. All of my sphere of influences growing up were pimps and hustlers. My dad was a pimp. All my great uncles was pimps. All of my cousins that were their kids were pimps and players and hustlers and gangsters. So I didn't. My sphere of influences wasn't positive in the sense of like go to college, you know, get a good job and get married. Nah, it was like, look, nephew, this what you gonna do. You know, this how you gonna get to it. Yeah. And even all the ladies in my family, like my mom, my aunties, my cousins, all the ladies, like they come through that life too. So they dated and was with all the gangsters and the pimps as well. Okay. So that was my sphere of influence. So I had all these different things going on, right? All these different aspects of how to survive, right? And by God's grace and His mercy, man, He had a different plan for my life. That's what it is. And so my girlfriend at the time, her mom saw the greatness in me, although she was able to still see the mischief, right? See past the mischief of this young man who was dating her daughter, right? Now, these were very prominent people, very influential, pastors, right? And business people, right? My girlfriend's parents. But they still saw in me what, you know, someone else couldn't. And she told me one day, she said, you know, Donte, I think you should get your real estate license. It'll help you like in your life because you have a great personality. You have a business mind. And she said, I just see that for you. Now she was a prophet as well. And for me, I'm one of those kind of people, man. Like if you tell me something, I'm gonna explore it. So the next day, and because I trusted her and I believed in her because they were successful, I always believed in them, right? I did what she said. I went and got my license. Now, at the time, I was, like I say, I was delivering furniture, bro, right? And I went and got my license, so I'm about 20 now. So I went and got my license and everything and start selling real estate by 21, you know? And by 24, bro, I had created a platform for myself. Financially, right? My first check was $2,500 on the closing. Never had made any money like that. And I saw a lot of potential to just be in this business and be successful. It allowed me to take care of my family and myself a lot more. And one of the things that got me into development was that when I was selling new construction homes, I just saw all white people building and selling. And even in my office, I was the only black person. And the other black person there, he was one of them, like, whitewashed black dudes, right? That I just couldn't relate to. Never really fuck with the dude, right? And I just saw, like, this was the route that I should go. Being a hustler, too, right? Always want to get more, right? And take advantage of the opportunities that exist. I was like, I don't have to just sell. I could build. And then I could create this platform. And then I was watching my broker. My broker was really good friends with the title company, like regional manager or the like I don't know what Troy's position was, but he ran the title company. He didn't own the title company. It was American National Title, but like he was their head guy, right? And I saw how they was doing business, and I was like, okay, when I meet a guy in title, and we become friends, I know that I've made my mark in real estate. And then from there, I know that I've become successful because I have a friend that owns a title company. I didn't know he was going to be black. I just knew I needed a friend in title because I saw my broker had a friend with title and everything else worked. right? Title brings everybody together because everything goes through title, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell Johnny, it's like one of our little funny things.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I was successful because I have a friend in title.
Yeah.
And I always knew at like 25, like when I find a friend in title and we buddies, like I'm gonna be successful.
Yeah.
And so my success is not measured by that friendship, but that friendship can bring so much more new measurement to my career and my path because of people like Johnny that I know, you know?
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah. So you go from being a real estate agent, your first bill, what was that like? Like, because once you realize, okay, I not only could sell, I could build too. What was that hurdle, or that you had to get over to, like, you know what, I don't know nothing about building right now,
right?
But now I want to start. What was that like?
So what that was like was I had a client, right? So even though I was selling real estate, like residential, I got into the commercial side and the multifamily side as well. At like 23, bro, 24.
Golly.
So I'm still broke, but I'm making checks though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that ingenuity and creativity, that how to survive in South Central mindset, right, kicked in. So I had a client. He was a doctor. He was a physician at the prisons in Kern County. And he had a portfolio of investment properties. And how did I get Mr. Andrew to be a client? I don't remember. But I ended up selling a property for him. And then I realized his portfolio had all these multifamily units. That was the first time I ever sold like 30 apartments at one time, and, you know, a fourplex times 6 at one time. That really put me over the top. And so while I'm selling all this multifamily, I'm like, yo, I need to get some of this.
Yeah. So
I exchanged in exchange for him a commission for a couple of buildings. And so when I did that, that's when I cut my teeth in rehabbing. So I acquired the properties without no money. He just transferred them to me because they equated to my commission, right?
How did you even know to even, like, ask for that? Yeah.
Just being a hustler, bro. Like, remember, I was still macking too. I'm pimping, so, you know, you got to act. You know, closed mouth don't get fed, right? So, you know, and so I'm a negotiator. So when we negotiate, I'm knowing, like, my commission splits is 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So 10% on $400,000 on a $400,000 deal is $40,000. And then we had $2-3 million apartments and complexes and commercial buildings. So I think with Mr. Andrew, I made over, I don't know, $600,000 or $700,000 in commissions, right? Yeah. So I exchanged some of that just for properties, right? So I had the ability with my broker to do creative deals. I had a gangster broker too, right?
Yeah.
And so so some of my deals was done off the table, right? We just did certain things off the table, right? And so I ended up with 2 fourplexes. And so that's how I cut my teeth in rehabbing. And then that's what taught me the introduction to just changing out paint, changing out sheetrock, changing out doors, changing out windows, paint, fixtures, all these things. And then from there, it just duplicated itself for another year. I did rehabs and flips. And then I ended up getting into a situation. One of the homies got jammed up. We had a little situation, and you know, it was like life or death, and I had to make a decision. And I was looking at my circumstances, and I was like, do I make a pivot right now? And, you know, God speaks to you, right? He like, there's times in your life, bro, when you're gonna have the energy is gonna move different, the frequency is gonna move different, and you're gonna have to know how to migrate. It's just like the great elephant migration in Africa. When the desert rains come to the east, like, they migrate thousands of miles to the water.
The elephants?
Yeah, the elephants do. And it's an instinctive shift. So, like, right now I'm going through this same season right now in my life, literally right now, that I went through years ago. But it's a constant one. It always happens in my life, right? Where instinctively it's time for a shift. But certain circumstances promote the shift, because otherwise you're comfortable in your winning space, right?
Right.
Because you be winning, right? There's no need to change. Not that you become complacent, but things are just going good.
Right.
There's no reason to shift.
Right.
But for me, I've identified that God in my life will create a circumstance that will take all the things to silence and to stop. And it's like, what's going on? Initially, in my immature stages of understanding this, right? And I wouldn't understand, like, why shit just stopped out of nowhere and why things just start happening. is because he's getting ready to pivot you to another level. And so he'll create circumstances that forces you to make forced moves. So he put me in a triple homicide situation that was a forced move. Because if it was just something light, it wouldn't have been a forced move. So it instantly, bro, you already instinctively know what to do, though. And before it happens, all the things that you're supposed to do have already come to you. It's just now you're going to remember, or it's going to click, and it's like, I'm going to do this.